Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for checking out this video here on Shows, Style, and Spirit. I am Ebony, of course, and as you can see from the title of this video, I will be giving my commentary on Dustin Ross's interview with Maurice Scott from Love and Marriage Huntsville that just dropped tonight. Now, he actually talked about having adult daughters whom he does not discuss on the show. And he actually came out of his mouth and had the nerve to say that both Melody and Martell needed to apologize to each other so that they can move on and resume filming together. The nerve. That soundbite will probably trigger you. So here's a trigger warning. Now, before we get into these sound bites, I ask that you all please hit the like button on this video. Then YouTube will recommend this video to more people who enjoy discussing the various topics that come about Love and Marriage Huntsville. And if you have not already done so, please subscribe to Shows, Style, and Spirit. I would definitely love to have you. And everything that I'm saying in this video is alleged and just my opinion. And the Copyright Act of 1976 says that my fair use commentary on these sound bites are allowed for criticism. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So in this first soundbite, Maurice is going to discuss his adult children, and he's going to also include Jalen in the number, and then he will actually call out his adult daughters by name. So let's go ahead and jump right on in.
As someone who successfully parented a child into adulthood, right? What were your thoughts about what we saw with kind of the dynamic between Chris and Nell Fletcher and their children as they were having that great session with Dr. Francis and kind of figuring out how to make that boat kind of sail with adult children? Have you had similar experiences figuring out how to parent an adult child and help when it's needed, but not necessarily handicap them from really growing on their own independently? What has that experience been like for you, Maurice?
I have 3 adult children.
Oh, 3, really?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know. We don't talk about my daughters on the show.
Okay.
But yeah, I have 3 adult children, and it's all different. You know, as an adult, finding your way in life is a challenge. Jalen took a different route than Tatiana, and Tatiana took a different route than Shaka did. And, one is a chef, one's a professional working in cybersecurity, and one works for me. So,
okay.
Just looking at different dynamics between the children, it's difficult. I know that Chris and Nell, they're successful individuals in their own careers, and then they're successful as a unit. You can see that they have 30 plus years together, and they're raising their children. Nobody ever wants to handicap their children by doing what they feel is the best for their children, but them pulling the reins, and say, you know what, we're gonna bootstrap this thing, and we're gonna let you guys go ahead and fly. We're gonna go ahead, pull this money back a little bit and see what you guys can do. But I think that they also have, if you've been around it that long and you've seen success that long, chances are you already have all of the ingredients anyway. You just need to do it, And as a parent, you still want involved. You're going to be involved. Your children, if you're a high earner, your children are going to have a high floor. They're not going to fall too far.
Yeah. I really appreciate the additional perspective of, a family that may have access to resources, financial resources, and figuring out how to manage the desire to want to help your kids, because as Black families, oftentimes we really just don't see that. A lot of times the adult children and adult parents are kind of facing some of the same challenges financially and figuring out as they go. So I thought it was refreshing to see, a different take on that experience, man. How do you feel about necessarily
Okay, so Maurice, I just want to say with your executive producer, Carlos King, you have most certainly just opened Pandora's box. Now, I don't know what type of boundaries your daughters have been working hard at setting. I can only assume, seeing as though this is season 7 of Love and Marriage Huntsville, which debuted in January of 2019. At this point, I assume that your daughter's boundaries are, nigga, don't talk about us, okay? They want no parts. They do not want to become public figures. They do not want thousands of people following them on their social media. They enjoy their careers and they just want to live everyday lives, not people who are on reality TV shows. However, your executive producer is Carlos King. And now that you have just mentioned 2 adult daughters, Tatiana and Sheikah, one is a chef, one works in cybersecurity. I mean, oh my gosh, Maurice, a detective out there, you've just given them all sorts of clues, okay? And then they have unique names. But yeah, I can only imagine that by season 8, some on some devices it would be considered season 9. I can only imagine that Carlos King is going to talk you into talking your daughters into filming, or at least them talking to you on FaceTime while you're filming. I have a feeling we're going to hear more about the daughters, possibly see them. So anyway, I just thought that was some interesting information. You know, again, they don't talk about the daughters on the show, but Maurice just kind of spilled the beans. And really, that kind of pretty much took up the gist of the response when Dustin asked him, what did you think about the Fletchers complaining about how much money they give their kids and they're trying to change that? And then Maurice got into talking about his adult daughters. I also want to say that kind of sets the tone for this interview. Whenever Dustin would ask a question, Maurice would ramble. I was thinking, yo, no wonder the judge in your case against Black Titanic is giving you the flux, because as soon as she starts hearing that rambling BS, I know she knocks down her gavel and makes a decision like that in Miss Black Titanic's favor, okay? But there is more. So we are going to get into the triggering soundbite. And that is where Dustin has the nerve to ask Maurice about the impact, the burden of Melody and Martell not being in the same room during filming. You know, how does that affect you, Maurice? How has that affected you filming season 7? As if it's this huge catastrophe. So this is what Maurice had to say.
Season, obviously we haven't seen Melody and Martell in the same room this season yet. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that impacts your experiences filming. What has that been like navigating kind of that approach to filming this season?
I think that there's a certain magic that the Corsets have. That's why we have, you know, the success that we've had, right? And I don't think that it can be discounted that nobody's from nowhere had this wild breakout hit, right? I think that we were touchable. People they could identify with, you know, something in each of us. They could identify with that. And we weren't so far ahead, you know, we weren't so far ahead that people felt like they could never attain that.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that the realness of the interdynamics of these relationships also help propel us to where we're at now.
Yeah.
And it's opened the doors for a lot of different couples and a lot of different people to tell their story. So I would like to see them get to a place where they don't have to feel separate. They have children together.
Yeah.
Right? They have children together. These are 4 children.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes, I think that, man, they just need to get back to a place to where they can be cordial, that they can interact with each other. They got 4 beautiful kids.
What do you think that's going to take, Maurice?
I don't know, man. I really don't. I wish I had the solution because it already been offered, right? But I definitely think that it's going to take a lot from both sides to get back there, and I think that it's going to take a lot of forgiveness, and it's going to take a lot of apologizing, from both sides.
Yeah, I get that, man. And again, we wish them the best because there is a family there. We've watched a lot of stuff go down over these years that we didn't think was fair. And so to see them figure that out and see those beautiful children continue to be raised, surrounded by the love that we were introduced to them, being surrounded by, that's what we want to see ultimately, man. One more question before we get out of here, bro. Recently, we saw in the headlines that there was a situation that took place down in Huntsville involving you and law enforcement in some capacity. What do you want to say to the fans who support you, and who have your back, been watching you since day one? Not the negative conversations that we may see surrounding all that, but what can you share, would you like to share regarding that situation to the people who really do rock with you and want to see continued success for you, Maurice? Is there anything that you want to share regarding that recent situation today?
Yeah, you got to let the legal system play out.
Yeah, for sure. And that's, listen, due process, which is something we're all entitled to, man. That's what's up.
You think.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the end, basically his response to the DUI question is you have to just let the legal process run its course. Excuse me. So he actually said, that Melody and Martell, they have 4 kids together. They need to get to a point where they can film again. Guess what, Maurice? The 2 of them are aware that they have 4 children. They have been parenting together for 12 and a half years. They've been separated for 4 years, divorce finalized for 3. They have been co-parenting for 4 kids for 4 years now. And they get 1 week on and 1 week off. So you can't use the 4 kids as a pawn to try and guilt Melody into filming with Martell. If Melody decides to film with Martell again in the future, that is her decision, her choice, and no one can try and guilt her into doing that. Now, he also talked about how they both needed to apologize to each other. He totally did not mention the revenge P. He did not mention Martell's arrest and conviction. I felt like that was very unfair. That was very biased and slanted. It's not just for out of the blue, for no reason at all, that Melody is not filming with him. She is not filming with him to be consistent with her choosing to go down to the magistrate with the evidence to get Martell arrested. So she's being consistent. I think that she is definitely making the right choice. I would totally do the exact same thing. And she's choosing her own peace of mind and her protection over just filming scenes with him and being triggered by him and giving drama for the TV show. And I think that that really speaks volumes when you don't even mention the revenge P and show her empathy as to why she's not filming with him. And to say that they both need to apologize is ridiculous. I can't stand the bitch assness where you can't even admit, the revenge P threat. And same thing with Dustin. Like, you're acting like you don't know the backstory as to why they're not filming together. Now, also, Dustin asked Maurice about his opinion on the storyline of Destiny, Sonny, and Moses. And this is what he had to say.
I think that I like to give people grace because you don't know where love will take you, right? But that situation to me is fucked up.
Yeah. Okay.
Just in general, I think that you want to give grace because, couples found love, right? saw a couple weeks ago where Destiny, I think she was crying more when she said, "I lost my friend." Yeah, right. To lose your friend to someone who you considered a friend, someone you obviously like when we're working with producers, they call often, right? And they just want to know, hey, what's going on with your life? What are you dealing with? Tell us everything, right? And Destiny was going through a lot at that time. I'm sure that Sonny knew a lot about what was going on. Destiny is extremely vulnerable, emotional during that time. So to see Sonny with Destiny's Rock at that time, kind of tough. Yeah. And to bring him to Huntsville, right, is salt in the wound. Yeah. I think a lot of people share that sentiment when it comes to the unconventional beginnings of their relationship. And a lot of people feel like there was a level of trust that was breached there, right, between Sonny and Destiny. We saw that you and Kimmy went on a double date situation with Moses and Sonny. What was that experience like for you? Were you uncomfortable at the table, Maurice, or was it just like, let me hear them out and see what's going on with them? Initially, you have your optics, right? You see the optics, and you're like, okay. But once again, like I said, I'm willing to hear both sides of any story, right? Whether my perspective changes or not, right? And yeah, I mean, I'm still willing to hear that side of the story. You never know unless you're willing to hear it. But sitting down, I understand the dynamic way more after sitting down with more so from Moses' perspective, not so much from Sonny's perspective. Yeah. Right.
Okay, so after he says that he pretty much understood Moses' perspective, he actually talks about when he and Kimmy had a sit down with Sonny and Moses, and he said Moses talked about being locked up and losing family members like his siblings and his grandma. He said that he felt like Moses clings to anyone who will give a listening ear and basically show empathy. No, I don't think so, Maurice. I'm sure that Destiny listened too, especially to see if she could pick up on any ways to try and manipulate, in my opinion. I think that Moses and Sonny, they just had a really strong base in lots of commonalities. They had lots of things in common. And I think he just really gelled with her. And I think the coincidence lies in the fact that she used to produce for his ex-girlfriend that is on a reality TV show. I think that's like a coincidence. But Sonny has said numerous times, because Destiny keeps things to herself, that she did not really give a lot of details about Moses. And Sonny did not have a lot of really one-on-one personal verbal interactions with him while she was producing for Destiny. So it's not a matter of like Sonny was being manipulative and set this whole thing up, oh, I'm going to take her man. No, nothing like that happened. But that, it's clear like he doesn't really like care for Sonny, in my opinion. And he seems to somewhat kind of like Moses. So I figured I would share that soundbite as well. But, what do you all think about Maurice saying that both Melody and Martell have to apologize? He did not even mention the revenge P. So the need for them both to apologize, it seems like it's just so generic, and him just being a typical guy siding with another guy. And if you're noticing the two different settings, the interview originally started out with Maurice being outside. I believe that's like his lanai. And then he went inside the home about halfway through the interview. So I just wanted to give both of those visuals. But I thank you all so much for checking out this video. Please hit the like button on this video, as it is a free way of supporting the channel. And please subscribe to Show Style and Spirit if you have not already done so. I am going to, I guess, turn in and get ready for bed. Then once I wake up, God willing, and the creek don't rise, I will watch Love and Marriage Huntsville. Then I will do my recap and I'll upload for that for you all as well. All right, so I will talk with you all very soon. Have a good night and take good care. Bye.